So, all right, we'll get back. Hope you had a good break. So all of the stuff that I just went over, just as usual in this tradition, we make sure we know what books it comes from. So it's not just made up stuff or rumors or, stuff in all the various Buddhist books that are out there and stuff, which are not bad, but, it's good to have some context and make sure what you're getting is the real deal. So, okay, of those 6 conditions, the first condition, Jetsankapa, and again, all of this is from Jetsankapa's chapter on meditation in his great book on the Steps of the Path to Enlightenment. But he borrows from everybody else and summarizes them, which is considered good form in Buddhism. You don't make up your own stuff. And he references a book called Ornament of the Sutras. In Sanskrit, it's Sutra Alamkara. Say Sutra Alamkara.
Sutra Alamkara.
It's a long A, you wouldn't know from that. Alamkara, and we translate it as Ornament of the Sutras. Alamkara means to get ready for something, and it comes from when the fine ladies of India would get ready for a big festival or something. They'd put on their jewels, so it was getting ready. So this book is getting ready for the sutras, okay, or Ornament of the Sutras. It was written by Master Asanga, who lived about 350 AD. Sutra Alamkara. Great story about Master Asanga. He decided he's going to go into meditation, into retreat, and meet the future Buddha, Jampa, or Maitreya in Sanskrit. And he went into retreat for 3 years, and nothing happened, and he came out. And there's 4 visions or something. I don't remember the exact story, but he sees water dripping on a rock, and the rock has been carved in half by this water drip over centuries and centuries. And he says, "That's persistence. I'm going back into retreat." So he goes back into retreat for another 3 years. Still, nothing's happening. He hasn't met Maitreya. He comes out, and there's. He's out walking, he's on his way to town, forget this stuff, it doesn't work. And then he sees a swallow fly up into its nest. And he notices when the swallow goes up into the nest, its wing brushes on part of the rock face, and it's like carved a cleft into the rock over all those centuries of swallows flying in there. And he says, "That's persistence, wearing down rocks with feathers." Goes into retreat again, and it goes like this. Comes out, sees a woman rubbing a chunk of steel with a rock, and she goes, "What are you doing, lady?" And says, I'm making needles." He goes, "That's persistence." He goes back in retreat. He finally meets Maitreya, and that's a whole other story. But Asanga means unstoppable, and in Tibetan it's tokme, can't be stopped. So this is from Master Unstoppable. We say he wrote Sutra Alamkara, but he really dictated it or took dictation from Maitreya when he finally met him. So anyway, that's where the phrases or the stuff about, a place that has goodness, living a good life, not needing much, being happy with what you have, that's all in Sutra Alamkara. And Jetsankapa references that in his book. The 6 conditions in general come from, we talked about this last class as well, the stages of meditation by Master Kamalashila, or Gorim in Tibetan. Say Gorim?
Gorim.
All right. Gomrim. Yeah, sorry, there's a knot in there. And this is one of 6 books that Master Kamalashila wrote on meditation after winning the debate, you remember, with the Chan practitioners from China. And so a lot of people want books on meditation in Tibetan. This is one of them he wrote. And then also, more of the stuff on having few wants and being easily satisfied comes from the Treasure House of Higher Knowledge, or Abhidharma Kosha. And this was written by Master Vasubandhu, who also lived about 350 AD. Quite a coincidence. Master Vasubandhu and Master Sangha were half-brothers. And together they wrote 2 of the 5 books that are studied in Tibetan monasteries for 20 years. And it's kind of an interesting story. Their mother was a nun, and she was meditating and praying, feeling that the Buddha's teachings were falling in decline in those times. And she had a vision of some kind where some Buddha came to her and said, you have to give up your robes and get married, and if you do, that's the best thing you can do to help the teachings. She goes, really? So she gives up her robe, she marries a king, and has one of the 2 brothers, I don't know which one. Then later she divorces the king and marries a Brahmin, a Hindu holy man, and gives birth to the other brother. And so together they wrote 2/5 of all of the books that are studied in Tibetan monasteries. So kind of cool that we have that. So anyway, Treasure House of Higher Knowledge is kind of a summary of some of the earliest Buddhist teachings. And when I hope someday we do ACI Course 5, How Karma Works, which is a really great class. I'd love to teach that. And on the posters I'm going to call it Altering the Fabric of Your Reality, because that's about what it's like, you know. But that comes from the 4th chapter of Abhidharmakosha. There's 8 chapters in Abhidharmakosha, and the first half describes the world and all the problems, where beings come from, how karma works, and then the second half is about meditation, seeing emptiness, everything else. So that's where all of this comes from, on the 6 conditions. Okay, questions about that? It's not boring stuff, it's good. Geshe Michael tells a famous story of how he saw this ruckus near the train station. He's like, what's in India? And he's like, what's going on? Oh, Trijang Rinpoche's there, you know, the teacher of the Dalai Lamas. And so, you know, they go and grab katas and they want to offer him to this guy, right? And, you know, he sees the Westerners. He goes, oh, yeah, so you're here to study. What are you studying? And he drew a blank. He couldn't remember the name of the book. It was Abhidharmakosha, and kosha in Tibetan for short is Z. If he could just remember Z, then he wouldn't have looked like a dork. So that's where all of that comes from. Next we're getting into class, what is it, 4 now? The famous classic position for meditation. Forget my stick figure. I don't know how the arms came out like that. I guess I was saying that, I don't know, you can do this thing with something in your lap. That's one way to do it, or just your hands on your knees. But that's not even mentioned in the 6, or in the 8. So this is your pre-flight checklist, right? Okay, you're out on the runway. You know, pilots, they always want to make sure the flaps are in the right angle and everything, and the fuel line is turned on and all of that. So this is it's called the 8-part posture of Vairocana, which is the Buddha of appearances, which is supposed to be the aspect of Buddha that can appear any way that's needed for any person. But for appearing for meditation, Vairocana, you know, shows this meditation posture. And it has 8 parts. The first part say Kankiel Trum. Kanki Trum. So starting off, your legs, see I got it numbered here, so your pre-flight check. Legs should be in full lotus or half lotus, okay? Not a lot of people in the West can do a full lotus, but that would be putting one leg up and then the other one so that your left foot is on top like this. The reason for this is it makes a really stable 3-pointed platform that kind of automatically forces your back to be straight, all right? Which is very important for reasons I'll discuss later on. Your butt should be a little higher than your knees, and that's right. These crescent-shaped cushions are really great because they support your legs a little bit. The round cushions are nice, but they cut off right under your butt, so like it can like push into your leg a little bit. So this supports your leg, you know, almost all the way down to the knees. And if you can't do full lotus, which is fine, and even Jade Tsongkhapa says this, a half lotus is fine, just where you've got one foot tucked in underneath, kind of like towards the perineum there, and then just the other one up on your thigh or up on your calf like this. And this gives you that very nice, stable thing where your back can stay very straight. Kind of gets your spine kind of all lined up and everything. And it's really good because in deep states of meditation, you don't want to have any part of your mind trying to keep you balanced. All right, so that's the thing on the legs. Okay. Next, we go up to the eyes. Say mik,
Mik.
mie,
Mie.
misum.
Misum.
Mik, mie, misum. Okay, that's eyes not open and not closed. What does that mean? Okay. If you close your eyes completely, your body thinks it's time to go to sleep. But if you have them open, then things are catching your eye. So the idea for good meditation is just kind of have your eyes down as slits, kind of like this. And you see all the classic Buddha statues like this, where there's just slits there. So there's a little bit of light keeping you awake. All right? But not anything really to catch your eye. And it's best if you meditate in front of an altar, like it's up high above where your eyes would be, and that you're seeing, it's blank down by where the slits are, okay? You will read a lot of books that say, focus your eyes on your nose, okay? So you're sitting there trying to meditate cross-eyed, It doesn't work, it's a bad translation, all right? It means the eyes are just kind of looking about 45 degrees down, sort of almost the line that your nose would make, okay? It does not mean look at your nose, okay? It just doesn't. Now, you'll see some classic takas of great practitioners, and their eyes are a little bit cross-eyed. That's a symbol of they're focused on their inner body, But it's not you might find if you're doing these higher meditations and getting really deep that your eyes just kind of naturally do that as you're drawing into the central channel. But that's all secret teachings. I can't talk about it. But yeah, so the eyes and not fully open and not fully closed. All right, just slits and down like the line of your nose, more or less. If you're Asian, your nose can have a different angle than if you're Western or something. It just means kind of, just about like that. All right. If your eyes droop down or your head droops down too much, you get sleepy and you want to fall forward. All right. If you're but the head comes later. The eyes kind of follow the head. All right. Next thing, say ludrang.
Ludrang.
Ludrampo, I should say. Ludrampo. Say ludrampo.
Ludrang.
Okay, lu is body. Drangpo means straight. And I don't know. They always say, if you can imagine the vertebrae in your spine, they're coming up from the coccyx, the tailbone, and just kind of stacked straight up like this. And if you get really relaxed and really in deep meditation, you're almost doing this balancing act where your spine is kind of stacked up all over your head, so that the line of force is going straight from the tip of your head down to your tailbone, about like that. So you can see how you want to take out that natural sway back curvature here a little bit, and you want to take out the lumbar curve down here and cervical curve up here, so that everything's kind of stacked up straight like this. And then you can really put your body into neutral, and it doesn't distract you in any way. It takes practice, okay? I really struggled with this starting out. My legs didn't want to do this. From sitting in office chairs and commuting, I had this bad curve down here. It takes work to get the legs loosened up, especially like the back of the thighs and all of that. Like there's yoga poses like pigeon pose, really good for getting your legs to behave. Maybe I'll demonstrate after class if you're interested. All right, but it's this idea of getting everything really. So you're not really putting any force into it. You really want to go neutral. Next is trakpa nyam. Say trakpa.
Trakpa.
Nyam.
Nyam.
Shoulders even. Nyam comes up a lot, and even we talked about it last week, one of the words for even meditation. nyamjuk. So shoulders even. Means not one higher or lower than the other, okay, obviously. And if you're having trouble meditating lots of times, it's good just to take a deep inhale, draw your shoulders back, your shoulder blades together, and then try and let them drop like that. So they're nice and even and relax. Because during the day, with sirens going off and everything, we kind of like tense up those trapeziums a little bit, or if you work out too much. So shoulders even. That's number 4 in here. So we have the eyes, we have the shoulders, we have the legs. Next, say go mito.
Go mito.
Mima.
Mima.
Head not too high, not too low. All right. This means you don't want to be slack like this. You don't want to have it tucked in. A lot of images will show, like, this is, again, is just symbolic of deep meditation. So even this guy, it looks like his head's kind of like that, all right? Again, it's trying to get it balanced, okay? As your head tilts down more, that tends to get you sleepier and less focused, all right? If it's back, you're going to be too flighty and all over the place. So it's this kind of straight out thing. You have to experiment with it a lot, and then you'll kind of find this neutral park position for your head. Okay, so mito, mi, ma means not too high, not too low. And the mi and ma and stuff are negatives. So head not high, head not low. Okay, what to do with your mouth now? Say sochu,
Sochu.
rangluk.
Rangluk.
Rangluk generally means natural. It has some philosophical meanings, like they talk about natural nirvana and things like that, okay? But in this case, it just means natural position. Teeth, lips, natural. What does that mean? That means you don't clench them, all right? You don't keep them closed like this, and you don't hang like that. If you have a pierced tongue, you're in trouble. I can't make it without tattoo. Sorry, you kids, I just don't get it. So, your teeth in kind of a natural position, and lips just sort of split a little bit. The Spanish B or V is very good for this. You know how you go, y es horriter, kind of like that. They don't really touch, but, about like that. All right? So not clenched and not hanging too slack, or you get flies in your mouth, and that disturbs your meditation. Now, what to do with your tongue? Say che,
Che.
yasoi,
Yasoi.
rangluk.
Rangluk.
Okay, they say tongue in the upper natural position. What does that mean? My tongue doesn't usually stick up, all right? They say it should be just behind your front teeth and up on the roof of your mouth. All right, so it's like this actually. Your tongue almost cups your palate, like this. Okay, that seals in your saliva. It keeps your mouth from drying out. All right, so you just kind of put your tongue up to your palate. You don't push it up there, but just kind of cup your palate shut like that. That minimizes the desire to swallow, which in deep meditation is, huge. Like a door slamming. And that's what you do with your tongue. So that's number 7. My wonderful illustration didn't have enough detail to show that 6 and 7s there. But still, you can do this pre-flight checklist. And then finally, your breathing. Say uk, jungmup.
Jung.
Okay, breath quiet. When you're getting ready to meditate and you've done this pre-flight checklist, okay, my legs, my eyes, my back, my shoulders, mouth, tongue, head, all of that, okay. It's not good starting out to force your breath or anything, but the more you relax, you'll notice your breath getting longer and finer and very quiet, all right? When you get in really deep meditation, you can hear the wind howling through your nose and nose hairs and all of that. It gets more and more subtle all the time. In the Yoga Sutra by Master Patanjali, he says, make your breath long and fine. Sorry, I can't remember the Sanskrit. But you shouldn't like force yourself to go, you know, and like make the air go a certain way. You can just like gradually deepen and just become aware of it, and then gradually deepen it a little bit. If you have some tension in your lower belly, you notice that's stopping you from breathing fully, you know. And when you get really good at this, it's almost like it's one giant piece of air coming out and going back in like this, and it's just kind of this rhythm, and it's very nice, and it gets very quiet and very subtle. And then you let your breath go for about 10 counts. If you actually get to 10 the first try, you're probably lying. All right, your mind will wander off and go somewhere else, and then you just come back to counting your breath. That's a good thing to do. Now, in this tradition, and actually in authentic Buddhist tradition, that's just a warm-up. It's just to put your mind and body into neutral. There's no way you should be spending hours or days focusing on your breath. It is a practice, and it is, the Buddha is like, you know, it's in Buddhist teachings, all right? People have just kind of run with it a little bit crazy. And yes, you do get single-pointed on your meditation, but again, in our tradition, that is just a warm-up. It's like to get used to focusing on something and one thing only, all right? But then after that, you want to use that tool for something else, all right? Meditation is a tool. It's not an end to itself. I always joke meditation, it's like a chainsaw, you know? It's like, cool, I got a chainsaw. You know, it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Like clear some land, you know, build furniture? I don't know, but I got a chainsaw. You know, that's all meditation is by itself. This is why this course is called Applied Meditation. We're going to learn what are some good things to apply it to. What do you want to use that chainsaw for? So that is the 8-part posture. And that didn't talk. Questions about it? Do any of you struggle in trying to meditate with your back, your legs, your eyes? Anything like that? Yeah. Like what?
I had a question about the shoulders.
Uh-huh.
I noticed that the positioning of my hands will change the positioning of my shoulders.
Absolutely.
And then if I put my hands where your hands are right now, my shoulders go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if I put my hands in the lap position, but if the lap position is forward at all, it pulls my shoulders forward, and it seems to add pressure to my upper back wanting to come down.
Right. Those monks totally cheat. They always have that extra thing called a zen, you know. But and if you can put a towel or something like that in your lap, so that you know the hands are up by the navel, then it does get the shoulders back a little bit. Okay. But for the most part, I'll just do this thing. It just drags down a little bit. This is really nice sometimes, and it gets you to focus along the center line a lot more. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you try and put your hands in your lap like down here, I mean, and some people will be built differently, but this pulls me forward, it closes the pits, get too hot, and it wants to pull you forward. So you're absolutely right. So you're totally spot on that. Very good. And in yoga classes, they're always trying to get people to keep their chest open, you know? It's like shoulders up, back, and down. And that's how you're supposed to do yoga. And weird things happen when you're trying to do balance poses and stuff on one legs. If you get your posture right, you suck in your throat a little bit, and the bandhas they talk about, you can suddenly stand on one leg forever and do anything. It's really weird. It's just getting that alignment going. So I really like the interplay between yoga and meditation, because your balance poses and things like that, the better your meditation are, the better you can do balance poses. And yoga really does help meditation. Other workouts probably do, you know. You definitely have to move your body though, okay? Definitely have to be stretched out a little bit. Like I said, when I first started out, I was just working in an office. I'm in a darn chair all day, and I'm commuting in a car, and you know, most cars are too small for my body, so I got this weird slouch and everything. It took a lot of work to try and get that to lighten up, but just little bits every day. There's nobody who can't meditate, okay? Some people say, I just can't sit that way. It's like, you're not trying, okay? They say many drops fill the bucket. And just every day, you just got to try a little bit. And next week, we're going to get all about mental technique. And the first one is, I don't feel like meditating. You know, that's the problem. There's 5 problems, 8 corrections. 4 of the corrections are for one problem. Guess which one that is? I don't feel like meditating. I'm too busy. I can't, you know, do this or that or the other thing. So, yeah.
I've been using a meditation bench.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it ends up being more like a kneeling posture. The knees are low and everything, but does that still?
It's not bad, you know, it's not bad. And if you think about it, like the traditional, like in the Japanese and the Zen and all of that, they do seiza, right? You do this toes touching kind of thing, and then if you get a bench to lift you up, I mean, it has the function of straightening your back and all of that, and it's not a bad thing. If you do seiza for a really long time, though, I find the legs just don't breathe in this at all. I remember the story of a teacher of mine, a martial arts teacher in karate, and the founder of their lineage had passed, and he went to the funeral, and they had a traditional Japanese funeral, and they were just in seiza for hours and hours and hours while the ceremony was going on. And it was time to make offerings to the kami, the altar, and his legs were absolutely dead. And so he just like walked on his knees over to get there, you know? And then afterwards, you're like, that was so good for a gaijin. You actually samurai walked over to the altar, you know? The gaijin, a foreigner, says he couldn't have stood up if he wanted to. So, but anyway, you know, this is almost like an evolution of cross-legged, okay? So yeah, you can do that. For different reasons, the cross-legged, I mean, it comes from the Indian tradition, and they know a lot about how the energy in your body works. And there is a certain something, especially full lotus, and I won't do too many sessions full lotus unless I've been doing a lot of yoga, but there is something about how the energy in your body kind of collects and grows up this way if you do this. So there is something to lotus position. But don't fixate on it, okay? Half lotus is good. You get a lot of the same benefits and everything. The bench is fine, you know. Like I say, I think the best equipment is a barley hull filled crescent cushion, okay? And I've seen lots of variations on this, but it's nice, you know. But yeah, you can, if that's what works for you. Try the other thing though, because there are, you know, they named a whole Buddha after this position, so, you know, it might be important. Yeah, anything else about struggling with meditation? Body stuff, cushions?
I guess if you have injuries, are there adaptive positions that are still acceptable?
Sure. You can like just have your legs lying down like this, you know. And if you do have an injury though, like push out a little bit and seriously consider a yoga class. I know you're already doing a lot of other stuff, but there's something about it that really targets, you know, as long as, let me talk about that targeting thing a little bit. Now, this might come from the higher Buddhist teachings, but I couldn't tell you about it. But it's very similar to its twin separated at birth, the yoga theory. So we'll go into a little bit of yoga theory. They say, and I'm going to try and do some drawing here, all right? Being that I'm a great artist. Okay. They say there's these chakras in your body, these energy centers, okay? And they get knotted up so that like you have no neck, like my little guy here, okay? And they say that there is this central channel just in front of the spine that goes up all the way. From the top, it's like this. It hooks from your third eye and then down about like that, okay? Around these two channels, the color's right, there's these side channels, and they loop around the central channel at different places, okay? And they say that this one's red and the other one's, I don't have a white pen, so here, I'll use black. All right. Now, where these things wrap, okay, those are where the chakras are. Around the heart, it wraps 3 times each. So yoga is targeted to trying to break open these places a little bit, all right? And it's really weird. The most troublesome ones are down here where your hips are. It's like the boniest part of your body. Another troublesome one is at the heart, it's where your rib cage is, you know, and your head, okay? So yoga tries to target these places and open them up. And interestingly, they say that, so this energy, this prana, runs through the channels, through the side channels. They say all of your thoughts of craving and jealousy and all of that run on the left side in the white channel. And all of your thoughts of anger and things like that are on the right side. So the more you have those thoughts, the more energy that is in the side channels, and the more they choke out the central channel. Okay? So if you're keeping your morality nicely, you're trying to drain the energy out of those side channels and open up that central channel where all of your wisdom and compassion lives. So that's what they say about it. So they're not these pretty flowery things. They're knots. And when they close up entirely, you die. Okay? As they slowly close up, you get older, you get meaner, you get grouchier. Okay? So you can see in yoga, they're coming from the outside in. They're trying to open up these energy channels that the thoughts ride on. And that's why you find yoga people are so pleasant, because they don't know it, but their energy's flowing better and their craving and desire gets less. Meditators, people keeping Buddhist wisdom, start to lose those thoughts and those things open up anyway. So you can imagine what the 1-2 punch is like, all right? Combination, yeah. Yeah, you can imagine how powerful the combination is. And at Diamond Mountain, they taught a very intense meditation series called Bokjimpa, which means setting your meditation on fire. And you had to keep a meditation book, and you had to keep, track the time, the date, the quality, what you did before and after, how it went, and all of that. And if you just kept this journal, amazing things popped out of it. And one of the things was, if I did any kind of yoga before I sat, meditation was just awesome. If I just got up, had my coffee, and then sat, whatever you have to do today. Mine's just, and writing my book. But doing that yoga and cracking open that stuff a little bit, then I could sit down, and it was really amazing. So that's my little pitch for yoga, or other stretching practices where you open up your body and it helps your mind. So the two kind of work together. All right. What else have I got? So that's the body. Oh, so all of this 8-part practice of Buddha Virotsana, it's about just getting the body straight enough, clean enough, relaxed enough, so that the thoughts can move on the energy clearly. All right. And I don't want to sound all woo-woo and new agey talking about energy, but check it out. It works. Questions? All right. What else have we got? Okay. So we're this far into the class. The meditation assignments that are at the bottom of the homework. You can still get caught up and do the homework. Okay. So if you can just by next week do 2 each. Homework 1 is just a review meditation of the 6 preliminaries. Until you know them cold. That's all you're doing. It's better than focusing on your breath. Okay. For the second class, it's the 7 ingredients, like the meditation we did at the beginning of class. Go through them, think about them, how they work, how they differ. Okay. And again, just 15 minutes each on these. And then for homeworks 3 and 4, which we're covering today, the 6 conditions. Just like that, okay? And it's just a practice. It's just a warm-up of getting your mind done, How many push-ups and rolls and sit-ups do you make people do, And then they're ready to play. So it's like that. And then for the 4th one, the 8 points of posture. Just go through that. I like to make it physical, pre-flight check, in the runway. Legs check, flaps 1/4 check, like that. Ready to take off. So, and then one more thing I want to talk about, we talk about all these ways to make meditation work. All the preliminaries, all of the conditions, the posture and everything. Let's get back to, the Mahayana practice of the perfections. One of them is Samten, the perfection of meditation. Now there is an order that kind of makes sense in these perfections, or paramitas. Sanskrit, paramita, which doesn't mean perfection so much. It literally means what takes you to the other side. In Tibetan, parotichin takes you to the other side. It's the Mahayana Buddhist practice. The first one is giving, generosity, they say, but just giving. It's not just giving material things, giving people love, giving them dharma, giving them protection. All of that helps a lot. And if you do that, your ethics are going to be better, right? Because you're not grasping as much to your stuff. You're more willing to help people out. You don't get mad if you lose something that you want. You know, it's like, I was going to give it away anyway, all right? So you can see how giving leads to ethics. Which also leads to, and ethics is sultrim. Say sultrim.
Sultrim.
It's funny, when my stepdaughter was a preteen, we put filtering software on her internet, and the password was sultrim. She never got it. Which gets to the perfection of not getting angry, or supa. Say supa.
Super.
Kind of the same thing as ethics, you know. If you're all about not harming others, taking other, you know, why get angry, okay? Which, if you're not wasting energy on being angry or thinking about how you're getting cheated or anything, then you can do your practice with tsundru. Say tsundru, joyful effort.
Tsundru.
Okay? All of those help you get to the perfection of meditation, or samten. Say samten.
Samten.
Okay? Which brings the realizations, wisdom. So all of these, so there's an order to the perfection. So yeah, there's all the stuff you can do to try to get it right, but really keeping the Buddha's perfections in order is what gets you to the perfection of meditation and reaching samten, shine, samadhi, all those words we covered last time. So I believe that's all I have. Anything else you want to talk about? Class, meditation. Next week we're going to get serious into the mental technique. We've done all the conditions. We're on the runway. We've got the pre-flight check done. Okay, we're ready to go. And then we're going to talk about what happens when you're actually on the cushion. All right, and that breaks down. So it's a lot of lists. The 5 problems, the 8 corrections, and the 9 resultant states. And it's going to be a lot of blah, 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 but if you have somewhat of a practice, you're going to go, oh, that's that thing. Or if you get serious into practice, you're going to go, oh, that's that thing. I know what I have to do. And it clarifies a lot of, I started this course with a lot of confusion about meditation. You know, some people say, oh, just let go. Some people say, no, focus on your breath, you know. And it's like they all fit into this structure. And those instructions come from different places in the structure, from the Gom Rim, the stages of meditation, right? So it'll be really good. And then you'll be able to go to any meditation class and say, oh, they're talking about this, you know, because it'll fit. You'll know the whole thing. Not everybody got the whole thing, and it comes out because it's confusing. And then the last weekend, we're going to be what to meditate on, the stages of the path to enlightenment, and the Lam Rim. And the cool thing about that is that when you know Lam Rim, stages of the path, really well, then you can go to any Buddhist or almost any spiritual teaching and say, oh, I see where that fits in the structure, you know. Like I make fun of Chan and Zen and all of that, but that comes from jhana, all right? Perfection of meditation. And it's like, they're just going straight here, you know? It's like, they assume that you already have all of this other stuff, and it's like, let's just work on the perfection of jhana, of meditation, on samten. And it's not a bad thing, and it works, you know, depending on what's in your karmic pocket, all right? But then I can see, so like when I, you know, read Zen wisecracks or whatever, it's like, yeah, that has a place, all right? But I like having the whole thing. I like to see the whole elephant, not just the trunk or the legs or whatever. So that's why I love this path. Both the structure of meditation and the structure of the path. So come back next week, bring friends, especially experienced meditators who might be struggling at some point, and they're going to go, oh, is that what that is? That's what I do, all right? So that would be a good thing. And that's all I have. Questions, comments, complaints? All right.